Norma Winnell knows what it's like to be homeless. A serious accident left her unable to work and she found herself living out of her car for months.
So depressing and degrading, and I had visions of working up into my 70s. And, then it just all went. It all went and I had nothing.
It wasn't until years later that she was provided with community housing where she gets discounted rent.
The market rent here is approximately $420 a week. I pay $390 a fortnight.
Rents continue to rise, with prices in capital cities up 1.1% in April. Units are also outpacing houses. Nationally, tenants are paying $577 a week now, compared to $440 in January 2020. After years of renting this home from a community housing provider, single mum Susan Muito bought it and thinks the government should help others like her.
Many people still in need, and more people are coming in Australia.
Meanwhile, the housing market continues to rebound, with prices up 0.5% in April. Sydney led the gains, followed by Perth, Brisbane, Adelaide, Melbourne and the regions. Hobart and Canberra were flat, while values in Darwin fell.
Increasingly, the data is suggesting that we have turned a corner and that nationally housing values may have actually bottomed out in early March.
Tackling housing affordability is in the government's sights. The federal budget will include greater tax concessions for developers to build more rental properties.
We're talking about reducing the withholding tax from 30% to 15% from overseas investors, and what we're talking about is increasing the depreciation rate from 2.5% to 4%.
The minister is also trying to negotiate with the Greens to get their $10 billion housing fund through the Senate. It aims to build 30,000 affordable homes over a decade.
What the government has proposed is to get $10 billion of public money and gamble it on the stock market via the government's future fund, and they don't actually guarantee a single cent will be spent on housing.
The Greens and community housing providers say tax breaks like negative gearing and the capital gains tax discount should be scrapped, and the money should be invested in social housing.
If they're to be wound back, they're going to be wound back for affordable housing options.
Parliamentary Budget Office costings show that phasing out tax concessions for people with more than one investment property could trigger an economic shock. Some landlords may be forced to sell, leaving fewer rental properties on the market. There's already a risk of housing defaults due to consecutive interest rate hikes over the past year, but there might be some respite at the upcoming RBA meeting.
I still think it's a bit uncertain whether they will hold rates or hike, but either way, households with a mortgage can expect a little more pain.
Renters like Norma are also experiencing pain and want the government to provide more help.
We might pack our bags and move into Parliament House. They've got more room than what we've got.
Unlike many politicians, Norma can only dream of home ownership.